I've got a story for y'all that you absolutely are not going to believe. It is mind blowing. The story I was just told by the guy sitting next to me on the plane, and I had to share it because it is like the greatest lesson for overcoming adversity and turning a negative into a positive that I've ever heard from anybody in my entire life. I was delayed for 3 hours in Jacksonville getting out, and then we had to circle for 45 minutes before we could land because of air traffic. And thank goodness, because I got to hear this guy's whole incredible story, and it just blew my mind. So he never knew his parents. They died when he was a tiny baby, and he was born like far away, like another land, another country, far. Doesn't know anything about where he comes from at all. The only reason he knows is because his parents left notes to him that were taken with him when he was sent here. And so he was sent here to America, grew up here, was raised by a very, 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 hey, what's up, Michelle? Very, very old couple in the middle of nowhere in Kansas. In Kansas, that's rough, right? So he grew up all the way out there in Kansas and found out very early on that there's this form of rock. Like, I don't understand how it works at all. I don't know if it's talc or something. It was a form of rock that he's allergic to. And if he's anywhere near it, he gets like crazy sick. Like crazy sick. Like it could kill him if he's around it too much. And he's super sensitive to the light. Like that's part of his condition is he's super sensitive to the light. And if he doesn't get enough of it, he gets sick and gets weak. Crazy, right? And despite all this, he has become like super successful, incredibly popular, and like achieved more than I think most of us could ever imagine. And people see him as this like powerful symbol in his community. He's like beloved there, and despite these ridiculous obstacles he overcame, he's become this huge success. And I just couldn't believe it hearing all that because we think about the things that we let hold us down, like the little obstacles that we overcome, and how much we let them affect us. And here's this guy who didn't know his parents, comes from far away, was raised by a random older couple in Kansas, gets sick when he's around a certain type of rock that could kill him, and gets weak if he's out of the sunlight. And here he goes and becomes this awesome symbol for everybody. Yeah, so I just had the greatest time talking to him. The guy's name is Clark Kent, but his real name is Kal-El. Y'all might know him as Superman. He was not really on the plane next to me, but if I just describe him by his weaknesses and the adversity he had to overcome, well, then you might think of him as a guy who's got some problems, right? But if I describe him as Superman, then you probably think of him as a guy who's so unrealistic because he's got too much power, right? It really depends on your perspective on whether or not something is your super weakness or your superpower. So if there's some little thing holding you back from doing the things you want to do, think about Superman. He's got some pretty major problems, but you don't ever think of those when you think of Superman, do you? You think of the incredible stuff that he can do. Well, there are some things that are holding us all down in our business that we think are problems that are keeping us from being successful, but look at them another way, and they could be the thing that makes you super successful. Later, y'all.